Today I am unboxing, or more precisely unbagging, my new Hollis Katana 2 Sidemount BCD. The BCD comes in this material packing bag that you can reuse for storage. Along with the BCD, you get a packet of accessories. I also purchased the optional butt plate to try out. The BCD is shipped in the Y-shaped harness configuration, which is very similar to the backplate and wing harness. The backbone of the BCD is wide and accommodates your weights. The base of the BCD is adjustable, so you can make it fit a tall or a short diver. The BCD comes with nearly everything you need, except for a couple of rings if you intend to use the ring bungee system. The inflator valve can be positioned on the right or the left side. There is a dump valve at the top of the BCD and one at the bottom left. The back of the BCD is smooth and flat and has a couple of D-rings to clip off accessories. The first choice is to decide if you want to configure the BCD in the Y or the H style. You'll be underwhelmed by the manual for this BCD. It's next to useless. The BCD is fantastic, but the manual is pathetic. Hollis have tried to make up for the fact that their manual is so lacking by publishing a very basic video on how to set up the BCD into the H style configuration. I wouldn't bother with this, just head over to Into the Overhead and watch their very detailed video on how to configure the BCD. While the video is a little rough, the content is absolutely superb. So why did I choose the H configuration? I had heard that it was a better fit for the larger gents. When using my backplate and wing, I stow my torches on the shoulder D-ring and bungee them under my armpits. However, in side mount, the tanks interfere with the torches, which is an added benefit for the H-style configuration. Your torches can sit on your chest and not interfere with the tanks. I completed the TDI Sidemount training course using a Dive Right Nomad XT rental BC set up with the ring bungee system. This BCD is a very old design and I didn't like the inflator hose coming over the shoulder, and it also interfered with access to the top of the tank and the regulators. The weight attachment also seemed like an afterthought, but the BCD was adequate for training. You should take note that when you're using the ring bungee system, the tanks hang a lot lower on your body. When it came time to purchase my own BCD, I considered the Dive Right LS BCD, which is a more traditional side mount design. And also about the same time, Dive Right released the Nomad Ray. Some of the guys I dive with had the Hollis Katana 2, and it looked a bit larger and seemed to work well with the steel tanks. So I bought the Hollis Katana 2 BCD, and I took it for a shore dive at Blaugary Pier with some other side mount divers. I tried using the butt plate and the BCD square D-rings. Both worked well. The butt plate wasn't really essential. During my training, I used the ring bungee system. Here are my tanks set up for using the webbing rigging and chokers for the ring bungee system. You need to purchase the 2-inch ring separately for this configuration. I also tried the standard rigging setup, which is now my preference. I did also try the minimalistic setup as well as a travel kit. Both were fine for use. Now it's time to do my first boat dive after my training. My buddy Walson has the Katana 2 set up in the Y configuration using two 12-litre steel tanks. Walson is not using a butt plate. He has the rear bolt snaps attached directly to the square D-rings on the BCD. He is using a rotating turret on his first stage, which is typical for side mount. The greatest advantage with side mount is being able to go through tight restrictions, such as this reef bridge that Walson and I are swimming through. I am probably making it a little bit difficult by filming using the camera tray while trying to go through this restriction. I've got my BCD set up in the H configuration, and I'm also not using the butt plate. I found that I didn't really need to use it. Now you may have noticed that I'm not using two 12-litre steel tanks. This was a single dive only, and instead of draining two tanks down a half full, I've elected to use just one 12-litre steel tank and have my pony for emergency bailout. I've added a weight to the pony so I feel a bit more balanced when swimming. This setup is not a bad way to transition from back mount to side mount, especially if you're used to carrying a pony, as you don't have the added skills to learn of swapping the regulators continuously. It's also a bit lighter than carrying two 12-litre steel tanks. My instructor mentioned that we shouldn't look like a hot mess when gearing up. I put my hood on and placed my mask on backwards. Then I donned both fins. Then starting on the left tank, I attach it to my top shoulder D-ring and connect the inflator hose to the BCD. Open the valve on the tank and place the regulator and necklace around my neck. Adjust the length of the excess hose, which is 1.5 meters long, then take some breaths while viewing the pressure gauge. I don't attach the bottom bolt snap to the BCD yet. Next, I work on the right tank. Attach the tank to the top D-ring, and if wearing a dry suit, connect the inflator hose. Loop the regulator hose around my neck and adjust the excess hose length, which is a 2 meter hose. Open up the tank valve and take some breaths while watching the pressure gauge. Now to stand up and attach each tank's lower bolt snap to the BCD rectangular D-rings. I've left my catch bag in an easy position to grab once I'm standing. Clip it off to the lower chest D-ring. Then all I have left to do is turn my mask around and I'm ready to go diving. On a boat with a narrow opening, you're going to have to turn sideways to get in and out. When I'm kidding, it's just done in the reverse order. Now let's have a look at my primary purpose for wanting to dive side mount. Back mount divers often get hung up on ledges and can't get close to the Southern Rock Lobsters, as shown here by my buddy. Also on this diver, you can clearly see that the tank is holding him back from getting closer to the lobster. So the main difference is that the traditional diver has the tank mounted on their back as per this guy. But the side mount diver has the tanks on their sides, so they end up being wider, but they have a lower profile overall. Now let's have a look at the ledge where the lobster's hiding. The back mount diver can only get so far before the tank stops them getting any closer. However, in contrast, the side mount diver can get a lot closer. This gives the side mount diver the advantage when catching lobsters, which was my original goal. You can see this side mount diver enters well into the ledge. This next clip is of me well inside a deep ledge. The back mount diver stayed outside filming me catching this lobster. My whole body, including fins, are inside the ledge. It would be impossible to grab this lobster using a back mounted tank. All the footage of me diving side mount has been taken within 6 months of me purchasing the Hollis Katana 2 BCD. In general, I found the transition from back mount to side mount relatively easy, and has well and truly exceeded my expectations. It has definitely improved my ability to catch lobsters. The BCD is well made and I haven't really found anything that's lacking. I don't have any regrets with taking the side mount course or purchasing the Hollis Katana 2 BCD, and I would highly recommend both to my fellow divers.